right, we are back with our third episode of Black Jaded Wolf Uncaged. I don't know about you, but this is fun. I enjoy these episodes, you know?
I enjoy it. It's every 2 weeks. I enjoy it, and you do all the work.
Well, listen, normally it's Andrew doing all the work for me, so it's nice and easy. You know, it's like a role reversal for me. But no, listen, I have fun chatting with you because, I mean, I don't get out to as many shows. I mean, I did go to, Chantilly. There were some local shows here, but, you kind of, you have your finger on the pulse. And last time we talked to you about this, Black Jaded Wolf, we talked about how there were a couple of shows or a couple of overlapping shows. And I'm going to throw a long cage type of question out there for you and let you just kind of run with it.
Okay.
It's unfiltered. We don't prep these questions ahead of time. We get, this is it. This is
That's how I like it.
Uncaged, right? So last time we chatted, you were talking about how during the same weekend, Dallas and Boston had a show, and you gave your whole analysis as to, splitting the team up, not splitting the team up, just going to one, going to the other, and you decided you were settled on going to Boston. All right. So I want to ask in two parts. Number one, how did that go? Did that become did you think it was the right decision, the wrong decision based on what you saw content-wise come out of Dallas? And then I want to talk to you about, I did a live the other day with Prism God. And he had a bunch of people on there, the Las Vegas show guy who was on there, and they talked about shows and stuff too. So I want to get your opinion on that. So talk to me. You went to Boston. Do you regret going to Boston? Do you regret not going to Dallas in full, not splitting the team up? Talk to me.
So unluckily, I got sick. So I wanted to go to Dallas and maybe send my team to Boston because I had a feeling it wasn't going to be as busy, But it didn't happen because I was kind of all this traveling. The woman next to me was coughing up a storm during the plane, and I think that's how I got it. So whatever. So I went to Boston. Still, I missed the Friday, and then I went to Saturday and Sunday. It was a decent crowd, to be honest with you. But I feel like the past 4 shows have been almost the same.
Okay.
Everybody just want to sell stuff and trade down, which is, it's the honest truth. People want to buy maybe some of their local Tatum stuff, like $100, $200, but this Tatum is hot. There's not a lot of $100, $200 Tatum cards, So trying to pick up, their guys, Robert Williams and Jaylen Brown, who's still very cheap. But besides that, everybody wants to trade down. They have a $2,000 to $3,000 card. They want to trade down to liquid $400, $500 cards.
This is other dealers, or these are people, customers coming to the show walking, or both?
Both. Yeah. So let's say Saturday, it's a little slow. Now they want to bring their bigger cards if they're dealers to trade with me. To kind of trade down. And then even customers now are trying to do the same. Maybe they're noticing they put it up on eBay or whatever platform they do, and it's just not selling the bigger cards at 10, 20,000. I mean, it's hard to sell in Whatnot or whatever other platform if you're not, at $10,000, $20,000 cards at least. So at least if you get more liquid stuff, you could always move them anywhere.
Right.
So I think that's where the crowd is,
Is
just trying to.
I mean, those liquid stuff, is it trying to take a $2,000 card or a $10,000 card of somebody and trade it down to 4 of the same player? Or is it just a multitude of players? I mean, the same player I would understand, right? Because it's, it gets you more liquid within that player. We always talked about if you have a $10,000 card of one guy, it's easier to have 5 $2,000 cards. That way, if you want to sell 40%, you sell 2 of them, you keep 3 of them. If it goes up, it's great.
They're asking for the hot players, obviously. Tatum, Luka, and Hurts. You hear it all the time. That's the problem with football now, too. It's especially this weekend. I mean, nobody could carry momentum besides Hurts. Nobody could carry any momentum right now because one week they lose, one week they, looks like Josh Allen is kind of hot, and then it cooled down the past couple of weeks. So it's. Nobody's carrying momentum except Tatum right now, and then Luka, and those are the only 2 hot guys that people are looking for. LaMelo is back, but it's still not moving anything,
Right.
So that's what the shows are. I mean, I bought some stuff, but it's also a little hard because people are asking last comp or few percentile below last comp, which is it's like playing hot potato right now. You buy that 10% last comp, Now it's going for 20% of last comp. So how are you buying?
It's
So
funny. I
to
mean, it's a
me,
great question, right? I mean, we had, I don't know if you listened to it, but we had on, the Dallas
mm,
show. We were down, Andrew went to the Dallas show. We had
yep.
on the Cardfather from Burbank. And
Hmm.
one of the conversations we had with him is exactly what you're talking about. I'd love to kind of dive into it a little bit more. They're kind of like they're cutting their heads off, right? Like they're going from show to show. The dealers are going from show to show. And it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this now.
Yep.
I'm going to try to pay 60% of comps, and I'm going to go to the next show and try to sell it for 120% of comps. And what winds up happening is each time as the price goes down and down and down, and it
Hmm.
makes it harder to do this because,
Yep.
people are all on their phones. People are all looking at the recent comp. It's like, okay, I came to a show. I wanted to buy this for $80, this
Hmm.
card. But I just noticed last night one of them sold for 75. Even
Yep.
though this $80 one is the cheapest one at the show, there's no
Hmm.
other ones for less than 100. You can't go online and buy them because the one sold for 70 something. I don't want to pay 80 anymore, and it just becomes sort
Yep.
of like a race to the bottom. Are you
Yep.
noticing that with the dealers themselves, or the dealers are a different story?
Yes, definitely. I mean, they're before most people, like, I pay 20%,
Mhm.
I'm trying, I mean 80%. I'm trying to be as competitive so people don't walk away. But it's tough now, especially when you're talking about 3, 4,000, 5,000, $10,000 card. I mean, I bought a card, let's say the Scotty Barnes. I mean, it obviously not, he's not hot right now. I paid 14, 15,000, and the last one just sold for 12.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if you sell it for 12, you're losing almost 5 grand now after fees and stuff.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little bit more careful. So now we need to use our brain a little. Is it worth buying? Is this player in this team worth buying? Are they gonna get hot next month? So you gotta project a little. I mean, sometimes you couldn't.
I mean, listen, it's
Mhm.
important to hear that, right? Because I mean, one
Mhm.
of the cool things about the show is you've been here for a while. You've been
Mhm.
doing this stuff for quite some time, and you are just somebody who came in when everything was running up, and it's like, okay, I'm going to buy it this week, and next week I can sell it because the price has gone up. Now the price has gone down. So one of the things you're actually talking about, which I rarely hear, I hear people saying, I'm going to buy this for 60% of comps and try to sell it for 100% of comps next week or 2 weeks later. What you're saying is, I'm going to try to find something that I can buy that may be below comps now, but I think the comp
Yes.
may move up because I'm going to also layer in some
Yep.
strategy. I'm going to layer in some,
Exactly.
this is who this player is playing the next couple of weeks. I expect
Mhm.
this guy to heat back up. I expect this
Yeah.
person to go on a run, right? And
Mhm.
you don't hear a lot of that. You just hear, I'm going to buy for this and sell for more.
Nope. And that's the thing that's missing a little. And I think some of the newer people that are coming in will learn. Obviously, it's like, let's say this week, Tua is going to be the next guy that might get hot a little for like a few weeks. Um, But and then I was gonna run a big Tua yesterday, and then I just checked the schedule. Before I will just run it because he's hot. But
Mm-hmm.
I checked the schedule. His next game is not till 27th because he has an off week next week.
Right.
So when you're running an auction, you got to consider that because it's so tough when people want to spend their money, especially on a big card. It's momentum, it's instinct buy. It's like you gotta set them up right to maximize your profit now, basically.
Right. I mean, listen, the cool thing about sports, at least the way I'd like to
Mhm.
say, right, is there should be someone, who's hot. So
Yes.
I mean, yes, going into the season, if you bought Luca and he started off hot, all right, you should be doing okay. Everybody's looking for Luca, but I mean, think about it. Justin Fields,
Yeah.
right? That's a guy who, if you would have bought like 3 weeks ago, he was probably bottoming out, and now there's got to be some demand for him again all of a sudden,
Hmm.
right? I mean, he's had a couple
Hmm.
of great weeks. He looks like he could last for a little while. He put the team on his shoulders. So I mean, what's fun about it is, that's the layer that the people who remain, I think, will have to learn, right? There is some correlation between
Performance.
on-field performance, right, and pricing, and
Hmm.
you have to pay attention to that stuff, right? I mean, that's probably why you were buying Jalen Hurts at the beginning of the year. Looked at his schedule. You wanted to bank on him.
Look at the schedule, and then the team too. The team improved a lot more than, and you got to get lucky too. They've been healthy, probably one of the most healthiest. You got to be careful with that, and if you're lucky, then it's great. It's like Tua could have been hot too, to be honest with you. Those are my two guys in the offseason. If he didn't lose that 3 weeks, he could have been carrying the same momentum. But like you said, he got injured. So it just happened that the Eagles didn't have any serious injury.
Yep. And two is 7-0 in games he starts and finishes, right? I mean, that's
Exactly.
it's important stuff. I mean, those two guys they haven't really lost the two of them in full games this year.
I'm
It's
not saying
pretty
I'm
nuts.
not saying they're Mahomes talent, but their production of their team, they have a good system and they're perfect for their system, basically, type of quarterback.
So, I mean, we talk about the Boston show. You know,
Mhm.
quarterbacks are a hot topic now, obviously, because we're right there in the thick of it in the NFL season. We could talk about Herbert, Josh Allen, you name it. But I got a question, right? Mac Jones. One of the things that I said was, bring in Mac Jones. It might be your last time to sell. Like, are people still asking for him? Are people making fun of him? Is he like an afterthought now? Are people taking a bath on his cards?
Taking a bath definitely because he's down to almost 20% what it was off season. That's a big dip. You don't see that big of a drop. Even Trey Lance didn't drop that, and he's out for the season because people are like, oh, at least Trey Lance, who still could be good. He just got injured. But now you're talking about the kid that's getting opportunities, but just not
Performing.
performing. So to me, that's you got to be careful. Maybe it's time to, even if it's 30% of what you're taking a big loss. I think you should try to move them.
Really? So I mean, listen, guys, this is fun stuff, strategy wise, because most people would probably say, "Yeah, why am I going to sell it if I'm into this for $10,000? I'm going to sell it for 2,500? No way." And you're saying, you know what? You've seen this play out time and time again with different quarterbacks, with different players. They're hot. You made the wrong call. Get out while you can.
Exactly. And how patient is Belichick? We haven't seen him really that patient, especially on young quarterbacks. So you just got to be careful unless you're holding, and let's say, oh, he gets traded to another system. But let me tell you, Belichick's system is perfect for him. And if he doesn't work out, I'm not sure how well he could be in another team. So
Right. If you're not going to make it there, you're not going to make it anywhere. That's interesting stuff. So I mean, listen, it's an interesting it's an interesting discussion, right? Because I mean, if Mac Jones isn't being sought after at those shows, and you see that kind of a drop, right? Does it make you nervous about quarterbacks in general? I mean, how about like people holding Josh Allen's cards right now? A little nervous or meh? I mean, what are you seeing on
um,
his stuff?
I have some big Josh Allen. I'm going to be honest with you.
Mhm.
I'm not nervous because sometimes I feel like the talent is really there. You could see. I just maybe Mac Jones, it's there, but I just don't see it.
Mhm.
And there are players that are, let's say Mahomes, right? He dropped, but I still won't panic sell him, because I think he's still going to be relevant. It's at the end of the day, every year I think those guys will be relevant besides injuries. And to me, not Mac Jones doesn't have that in my opinion.
Right, but
But
Allen
I
does.
do think Josh Allen and Mahomes. I think Burrow has it too. I hope his lines gets better, and I think Herbert too. And I think he's still bothered by the ribs injury. Every time he gets hit, he's still like not fully. You
Right.
know,
He's wincing.
so
He's also been without his top two wide receivers for the majority of the year.
exactly,
And still has a winning record. So it's pretty
exactly.
crazy.
So
I
that's the
mean,
thing. It's you just got to read that. I mean, it's up to you if you want to panic sell, but those are the guys I will bank on the next 5 years.
so
So
pivoting for you now, right? Because we'll talk about shows. Hopefully you're feeling better and you're gearing up now. This is an interesting time of year, right?
Chicago this weekend.
So you're going to Chicago. So tell me about you have Chicago coming up, but then also
Philly.
for
Mhm.
Chicago or for the shows coming up, right? Does your behavior preparing for the show or during the show change at all now that you're leading into the holiday season, right? Do you bring different inventory for holiday stuff, thinking maybe people are going to come and try to buy, gifts for kids? Do you, layer in some wax? Do you bring like smaller cards? This way parents can buy stuff for kids for stocking stuffers. Do you even factor it in at all, or are we not there yet?
It's really tough because when you're flying to a show, it's limited.
Yeah.
First, and not on that, I don't know if you know, Chicago show is so tough to get into. I've been doing it for years, but the past during pandemic, I stopped doing it, and they changed management, and I only got one table.
Mhm.
So basically, I'm bringing some big stuff and probably some stuff that I know I could move during Chicago, but also knowing that there are buyers in Chicago. Some of the repack people are going to be there. So I might custom bring those stuff on the side, just to clear some inventory. Um, so that's how I pack basically. Some retail that's good for Chicago and some hot players
Mhm.
and some stuff that I know I could just move
Bringing
basically.
you Justin Fields, bringing every Justin Fields you can find, even the Chronicles draft pick stuff.
I actually sold Justin Field the past few weeks, so I didn't go much on him because I like guys that could win this year. So, and if I don't, I just put them aside. And to me, he wasn't one of my top guys this year. So,
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm famous for my takes, but I'd be selling Justin Fields. I mean, it's great the numbers he's putting up, but
exactly.
he's not going
Yep.
to win. And the style of football he's playing now is not something that will have any type of longevity at all. It just can't. It doesn't last. We've seen
Hmm.
flash in the pans. We've seen quarterbacks that could do that, run and throw for a little while, starting back, Randall Cunningham to, Steve Young to Michael Vick to Lamar Jackson. I mean, there's been plenty of
That's,
them.
that's that's the thing
Exciting
people
stuff.
don't understand about Josh Allen. He runs a lot too. That's why he
Different
got
type of
the
run. Different
yes,
type of run.
different.
I mean,
Well,
he delivers punishment. I mean, Field just
that's
breaks away
true.
from everybody. I mean,
I
Allen looks like
know.
he's looking for a safety to lower his head and
Yep,
and
yep.
and hit.
It's a little scary. Yes,
So, but I
but
like Josh Allen. I
yeah.
do. Andrew and I talk about that all the time. The comparison between Mahomes and Josh Allen, and he loves Mahomes.
Yep.
Um, I think what Mahomes, from a hobby perspective, the difference between Allen and Mahomes is Allen was almost like a dark horse candidate. People were buying Allen when Mahomes was expensive and saying,
Yep.
I think Josh Allen is just as good. And they've watched Allen cards move up as Mahomes cards have moved down. So you have like
Hmm.
this groundswell of people who were able to buy Josh Allen cheap.
Yep.
I remember buying Josh Allen, the PSA 10 Prism base cards, which is what everyone was buying back then. But I was buying those, for like $45 in PSA
That's
10, like
crazy.
way
Yep.
back when they first came out. I was buying like the neon parallels for like $60.
Hmm. Yep.
I'm
Yep.
sure no one even wants them, but nobody cared. Like he wasn't the guy that people were after. So it built up this kind of support. It's a little more sustainable when you're building,
Yep.
rather than Mahomes which was already like high, and you only have one place to go really, even with success. I like Allen though. I do.
I do like him a lot too. The only thing with quarterbacks like that though is they have to win the next few years
Mhm.
because I mean it's hard to keep everyone. That
Yeah,
that's that's how
yeah.
football is.
Well,
So
that's
you
why. I mean,
gotta.
Mac Jones is already the victim. I mean, when you look
Yep.
at Mac Jones,
Hmm.
and Joe Burrow might be the next one, and then it can't be Herbert, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen. It can't be all
Yep.
these guys, right? And Trevor Lawrence. Eventually, he's got to do something. I mean, these guys all in the same conference, and only one of them can get to the Super Bowl, let alone win it. So,
And the MVP question opens up again. I mean,
sure,
yeah, with Hurts, and people don't look at Hurts as MVP, but obviously Josh Allen is, and Mahomes is now in contention again. It's like sometimes that does affect cards, but not really. To me, in my opinion, it doesn't. The award doesn't. It's more like the playoff run. Who's gonna last
yeah.
longer in the playoffs?
I think you're 100% right about that. I mean, Aaron Judge's
Mhm.
cards were flying at the end of the season. He had a bad playoffs, and they're cratered
Yep.
like I predicted.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. I'm a Yankee fan. I wish he would have won the World Series. He's going to win the MVP. That's not going to do anything for his cards. It's baked
I
in.
sold almost every Aaron Rodgers during the run. So, and I'm a Yankee fan.
There you go. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
um, listen, I love that. That deal. So we have Philly coming up,
Yep. I'm excited for
Chicago.
Philly.
So you mentioned one thing about like Chicago, like repacks. It's an important thing, right? Because if there are dealers listening, we talked about Mac Jones cards and bringing them and trying to have some liquidity. Some of the nuggets that you drop, like people should really, really listen to, right? I mean, I'm being serious, right? Like we have a lot of guests on it. Very few people are realists, right? To hear, hey, Mac Jones maybe at 30% of what they were at max, but you would take that off the table because that may be double what you're going to get next year. Next year, if he's not even playing, next year if he's fighting for a starting role, you're not getting anywhere near. You might as well take that money and put it into something else
Hmm.
that you can start building back up. Like
Yeah.
that's a valuable piece of information. The fact that you are not just bringing the same showcase to every single show, and in addition to layering in, like I'm going to bring my Chicago guys to the Chicago show, but you're layering in this. I also know the other dealers who are going to be there. I know there's going to be repack people there. Can
Yep.
we like just spend a couple minutes on that for people who go to shows because there's real value in that. One, how do you know that there's going to be repack people there, right? How do you know? Because you've been to the show before, so you know who sets up. And then two, how does that kind of color, what you bring? Why does that matter?
Um, it matters because to me it cuts costs, and to me it gives me more option to liquidate,
Mhm.
basically. Not liquidate in a bad way, but to move some merchandise, And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have like probably two show left for this year.
Okay.
December, really, after the Philly show, it's pretty much dried up till January, and it's time for you to liquidate some stuff because after January, it's really just a playoff for football. So it's almost your last month to sell some of the Fields guys, the Mac Jones, the guys that might not make the playoff. Time to leave some stuff that for the guys that you think are going to make the playoff.
Hmm.
So to me, it's time, and people that are repacking are still going to make product, so they will buy those stuff still. So
Okay.
you got to know, put a call in if you've met them before. Some people don't look at their site. Some of their site like, oh, we'll be buying this show. So Chicago is one of those show that they'll buy because it's a big show. Like Dallas, obviously, they always go to. Also, some of the bigger show they'll go. So you got to prep for that. It's a way for you to liquidate some, and you guaranteed you have some sales. Because
So
we
you
we
reach out
can't.
to them ahead of time to see what they're looking for, or you just know. You go to their
I
table
do.
with a box and you say, "Here you
Oh
go.
no,
This
I
is."
don't do that. They come to me.
They
I've
come to
known
you.
them for years, so uh, yeah, I kind of reach out and stuff like that. So not annoy them. Just what are your next 5 shows? Just let me know ahead of time. That type of thing.
Well, I mean, it
So,
makes sense, right? Because
mhm,
obviously it's stuff they can move and make profit on, and stuff you can move
mhm.
and liquidate, but you got to bring it to Chicago with you. So you have to know, obviously, it's not a waste of your time, and
Yes,
the limited amount of space that you have, for
exactly.
traveling. But I imagine, for repacks, it's star kind of cards that you sent in for grading, probably yourself, that didn't hit the Gem 10s, right? It's those Curry cards that are PSA 9s that are not moving, or the rookie guys who had an okay season, but they're not going to make a playoff run, that kind of stuff, right?
It gets very tough now, to be honest with you. Now they're pickier because there are more options to buy from.
Hmm.
So you gotta bring some good stuff too. You can't just bring stuff that you think you could just liquidate. They're smarter now too. They're gonna buy stuff that when somebody opens their box, they're gonna like the card.
Hmm.
So, LaMelo's coming up, he's back now. So maybe it's time because they weren't buying LaMelo before, but now they know LaMelo's back. They might buy some LaMelo. So you got to know who's hot in the hobby for them to bring it to them too. You can't buy guys that are injured, or bring guys that are injured. So those are you got to have those knowledge basically. If you got to put yourself in their situation, will you buy this card if you're them type of
Right. It's funny, right? This symbiosis that goes on in the
thing.
hobby, right? So, I mean, mystery packs, I'll call them that, or, value packs or repacks, right? You know, it's never something that appealed to me per se, right? Because I always was like, all right, if somebody's buying this stuff and then they're gonna buy 100 packs, they're gonna buy
Mhm.
100 packs worth of cards, and they're gonna sell it for $10,000 because they know they paid $6,000 for it, right? And it's gonna be 100 spots, $100 each. Maybe 10 of them, like it's like opening wax.
Yep.
Maybe 10 of those 100 people are gonna double their money, right? And
But
maybe go
yeah,
ahead.
but some of them put better cards. So let's say you open a big product. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I have a customer that opened Flawless for 23,000 and got sold every single card and got back 5,000.
Mhm.
So to them, some people might want to open a repack because they spent 500 on it. They might get back 300. They're not gonna go to 100. You know what I mean?
Right.
Most of the time, you get back half your money or 80%, 70% of your money. I mean, not every box. Obviously, you're gonna get
Mhm.
the big hit, but for some people that just want to open some, it's okay. I guess the hits are a little bit better,
Right.
but you're also capping yourself. They're not gonna put $10,000 card or hundred
Correct.
thousand dollar
Correct. The
cards in
high
there.
side's limited, the low side's limited. You're getting something, but
Yep.
from
Hmm.
to me, it was always like, all right, like that the person's not doing this unless they're making money on it. Like
Of course.
overall,
Yes.
that
Hmm.
otherwise it's a waste of time and money. And so
Yep.
for $10,000, they're probably putting six
Mhm.
thousand dollars in, or
Yep.
$7,000, or whatever it is. That way, they're making money on it. But
Hmm.
what's amazing about it, the layer that I never really thought about in there is, how they interact with other dealers. Like you're not a repack person. You're not building your own repacks. I mean, you might at some point in time. Who knows? You never say never in this hobby, depending on where the market goes. But right now,
Mhm.
you're able to. It's funny, right? So don't crap on the repackers because maybe Black Jaded Wolf, and I don't know what the name of some big repacker is. I don't really know. I wish I did now. But you have this huge deal where you sell them a whole bunch of cards, $10,000, $20,000 worth of stuff that they put in. It provides
Yep.
value to somebody on their repack, but now you have cash. This way, other dealers are coming, and you're able to take some cards
Mhm.
from them. You're
Yep.
able to buy cards and continue the deal flow going from show to show. It's a churn, right? I mean, it's just part of the.
The repack people actually, the past couple of years have probably put back a lot of money into the hobby.
Yep.
So that's a good part. And then it makes dealers also be able to buy from regular people, you know. So that's a good thing. It's like at least they're not just keeping the money, they're actually putting it back in the hobby. But it does create an issue for us because dealers, it's tough to us to buy at certain percentile because they pay a little bit better percentile than us because they don't really care about flipping the card. It's how much they spend on the card and they're putting it in a product.
Well, as a dealer, does it change your strategy to show like when a repacker is going to be there? If somebody comes up to you and has a good card that you want and a bunch of repack cards, right? Do you buy the whole lot to make sure you get it and pay a slightly bit more because you're going to be able to sell those repack cards to the repack person? I mean, it's like a strategy that
Yeah,
you have to.
that yes, definite. I don't buy one card. I most of the time I buy that way basically. So it lower my cost of the card that I want to keep.
And what's funny, I mean, it's like dealer
Mhm.
101 over here. I mean, these are just things people don't think about because they're not
Mhm.
sitting on that side
Mhm.
of the table. But it also, I
Mhm.
would think, if this continues, it would allow you to take a gamble on somebody like a Fields in the beginning of the year,
Yep.
right? And know that, all right, if Fields goes on a run and I can make profit on this from where I'm buying it, great.
Mhm.
If he doesn't, all right, I can always cut my losses and sell it to a repack person 10
Yep.
weeks down, 11 weeks,
Mhm.
whatever it is, and they can make some money on it and go from
Yep.
there. It allows you to kind of
Definitely.
like manage your risks.
Yeah,
Very
you
interesting.
you you, you got to think that way, because at the end of the day, we're running a business.
Because
So,
I've never
mhm.
parsed it out like this with a
Mhm.
dealer, right? You just hear I'm going to this show because I'm going to go and buy a stack of cards and then I'm going to sell them for more money the next week. But this way allows you to kind
Mhm.
of like you can take a gamble on somebody,
Mhm.
know that your downside risk is sort of capped on it because you
Mhm.
have these other ways to offload the card if he's
Yep.
not successful. And if the player actually starts to perform better, then you can also
Yeah.
make some money on it. Like
Yes, definitely. Mhm.
I mean, I know people who are buying cards, last week, and you see them on their story like 2 days later. Hey, this is available. Well, we all know what you paid for it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's but that is,
But that's the thing. I'm a little OCD about. I don't like doing that, to be honest with you, because to me it's like you just bought it, like. So
yeah,
and then not on that, especially buying on eBay. You just bought it on eBay and you brought it to a show and you want to ask 10-20% higher than what you paid on eBay. But I'm like, I'm trying to sell in the show below comp. Like it's like, how does that work? So it's weird, but it is what it is. I
I
just
mean,
tell the customer the honest truth. I can't pay that, basically.
if
Unless
you're
you
not
think the
paying
guy
it,
is,
if
unless
you're
you
not
think the
paying
guy
it, they're
is
probably
gonna
not
win.
getting it. Unless I mean, I've seen you work. I see you're fair with folks. You try to come to a good deal on it. You're not going to buy every card just because, but you're still running a business also. But I mean, what's fun about this is I got to be nicer to the repack people. I always was like,
You gotta be
those.
nice to everyone, not just to repack
Yeah,
people.
I don't know, man. I gotta be. I'm nice to everyone. The repack stuff, I've always, it's in my brain. I've always colored it as sort of like
Mhm.
like a lower end part of the deal. Like, okay, they're cleaning up the rejects and repackaging them and sprinkling in a couple of things that are good. Which, by the way, is no worse than what the actual manufacturers do. It's actually probably better because they can make sure that there's a bottom line there.
Yes.
I
Hmm.
open boxes with Ian and I'm like, this is crap. Like I legitimately got
Hmm.
crap. I opened a Prism basketball box in my two autos. I still don't know who they are. Like
And
a Prism hobby.
most of the repack people don't buy crap. People
Yeah.
don't get that because they want their product to be looked at in a good way. Because if,
Well,
if
they're not
they
going to
can,
last.
yeah, exactly. And so most of them, they like to put good stuff in hot players. So
There we go. So I mean, it's one of those things I didn't even think about, and it's part of that behind the scenes stuff that goes on at the show
mhm.
that you have a different way of going into that. Like Philly, does Philly have repacks? No, right? Philly's not a lot of repack people there.
Not as much, but there's a couple.
So I mean, I guess you're giving yourself a backup plan, right? If Chicago doesn't work out well for whatever you don't sell for the repacks, you bring it to the Philly guys for the repack stuff.
And then at the end of the day, if you have good cards, it will sell, to be honest with you. I mean, you don't have to force it. But that's the thing, knowing that selling to repack people, you have to sell it below comp. So
Right.
you got to be able to do that. They're not going to deal with you if you're not going to be able to sell below comp. So you just got to
So
be ready for that.
I'll ask just two parts. You can kind of take it one and one.
Mm.
Just generally speaking, year over year, or earlier this year to now, 6 months ago to now, or a year, however you want to slice it. Deal flow, dealer to dealer, and foot traffic to dealer. How is it different now? Do you see less of it? Do you see more of it? Do you see the same amount but at different price levels? Do you see like less liquidity in the market, so there's less cash going all over the place? Do you see more trading? Like what do you see that's different that stands out?
Definitely, beginning of the year, a lot of people are throwing cash, when they're buying deals. It's hard to get people to pay cash right now. Um, First, they have to have a real business for them to know how to give cash away. So, that's the tough part. But the second part is people now wants to sell and then tell you, "Oh, I'll sell you a few percentile lower if you'll pay cash." But you need to consider that as a seller, because you can't just say, "Oh, I'm gonna get it a few percentile lower if I pay cash." But now you need to consider you're paying taxes, because if it's hard for you to sell in shows, to get cash in shows, that means you have to sell it in a platform that's going to be in PayPal, that's going to have footprints, and you're going to get taxed for that.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to be careful. That small percentile might not be worth it.
Right.
It's better to still pay the tax, the PayPal, and to you know just to cover some of your buys. So you need to consider that. And people are now all want cash in shows, but it's hard. And I'm gonna be honest with you. There are times that I need to budget, oh, I could only spend this much in cash, and then the rest I have to pay in, other forms, basically Venmo, Cash App, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I am more aware of that now than beginning of the year.
Yep. I paid an auction invoice this morning in Ethereum. And what's funny is the auction was about a week and a half old. It takes a little while to, get an invoice.
Is that a good way though? Because Ethereum is going down.
Terrible. So. Like when I bought it, I thought it was going to be 2 Ethereum. Now it cost me like 3.1 this morning because it went down. I'm like, but I just want to.
Isn't it better to just? Oh, okay. Because I was like, isn't it better to just hold your? Oh, okay.
I have a lot. I just want to, remove it. Just remove some of it. I mean, okay. In my brain, I was paying for this with crypto. It just turned out that it was like 50% more crypto than I thought it was going to be. It is what it is. It's a small item, but still buying though. I'm still buying. I was, bidding on a lot of stuff in PWCC last night. Bidding on a lot of crazy stuff. And foot traffic, was Boston what you thought it was going to be?
It was a lot. I'm going to be honest with you. I can't.
So we have you.
The promoter? No, because there was actually foot traffic. Good. It's just that people are a little tighter on their cash. Yep. And and I'm gonna be honest with you, investors are not affected. So the bigger show, people are there actually aggressively to buy because it's a down market. But when you go to a regular show like this, it's retail people that are walking around. Right. And you could see they're struggling a little. They might, beginning of the year, they came to a show, they might be spending $500. Right now, they're only spending 100 or 2. Mm-hmm. And they're really trying to pick up good deals too. So you could see that foot traffic was there. It's just people were holding a little tighter on their money this time around. And they're trying to liquidate some stuff. I mean, I bought a LeBron deal. I think it's good to buy some LeBron rookies right now because they dropped to a point that's like super low. I bought some rare LeBron rookies, but
we're back to 2020 on LeBron. We're back to 2020 prices on LeBron.
Exactly. So it's back to that. And to me, I took a gamble. I spent like maybe 5,000-7,000. And, I think if he breaks the Kareem record, it's going to go up a little. You got to think that now. Why are you buying it? Not just investment. If it goes up, you could move them basically.
your entry price and your potential exits on it. I think a
Yep.
lot of people are selling LeBron right now. We talked about this in our show this week. People who are moving LeBron right now were hoping, all right, maybe something would happen with the team. Maybe they would sign someone. Maybe they would trade Westbrook. Maybe bring Kyrie, and then they'd be like a contending team, which they're not.
Yep.
Those people are looking to get out. There,
Yep.
there are other exits for LeBron though. If
Mhm.
you're willing to hold, I mean, it depends on what type of a investment play
Yeah.
you made. You're right. The Kareem is one. Who knows if they turn the season around, actually playing meaningful basketball at the end? Then you have Bronny on the horizon. Who knows
Yep.
what next
And
year
that's the
holds?
thing. It's not for LeBron. You're buying a guy that it's not the end of it. I mean, at the end of the day, he's one of the top guys ever. So to me, it's not if you're buying at low, it's okay to hold them. To me, in my opinion, because you
Yeah.
could always LeBron stuff is always easy to liquidate. It's not like it just depends on the price point.
But
If
think
you're gonna
about it.
take a
You're at a
loss,
show. You're not saying I'm
yeah,
going to buy LeBron this week so that I can sell it next week for more money, right? You
yeah,
wouldn't be
that
buying
you
LeBron
can't
for
do.
that because he's
No,
not. There's nothing next week that's a
nope.
catalyst for him. He
And
might not
Tom
even
Brady's
play.
the same way. Tom Brady's the same way now. You can't buy them and thinking you're gonna flip them next week. So Tom Brady is well,
Tom
unless you
Brady's going to
buy
win
it
his
very
division.
low.
Tom Brady's going to win that division. Tom Brady's
That's
going to have.
true.
He's going to host the whole
Oh my
playoff game.
God.
That division's
I
bad.
know
I
he
think
could still,
he
yeah.
went to 500. I think he's leading the division now, and I think
That's really
that's a crappy
embarrassing.
division. So I talk about that this week also on an episode. I was like, I'd
Mhm.
be buying Tom Brady just because there is this potential exit because I think
Yeah,
he's going to win the division. He
he can.
legit that team is going to have a home playoff game as bad as they were.
Yes, but now if that's how you're thinking, then before the playoffs start, you probably need to move them because they could get knocked out right away.
Correct. And they probably
Yeah.
will. But yeah, but
Mhm.
there is this. But Brady is one where, like you said, multiple exits. You can exit
Yep.
before the playoffs and catch a little bit of a run now,
Yep.
or if his cards get beat down, he's still the greatest. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like, and I'm a
exactly.
Montana guy, and I mean Brady is still. I mean, what's funny is, while they're still playing these in-season swings, I would have thought that somebody like Brady or Rogers or some of these guys would have had a better floor. Right, but when they're playing, people really they ride the waves
Yep.
of up and down
Mhm.
with their success. So
But to me, those are surer than a guy that's like Mac Jones.
it's true. Very, very true. All right. Well,
Mhm.
listen, guys, look
Yep.
out for Black Jaded Wolf. We got Sharon and her team at Chicago this coming week. Philly, the first weekend of December, and that might be
Mhm.
it for the year. We'll see. We'll have you back on. Talk about shows. Talk about how those things went. Talk about the
Okay.
holidays and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, some fun stuff this week. Soccer obviously is World Cup, so hopefully we could talk about some of those and
So tell me,
some.
before I let you go, you got some soccer stuff you selling? Are you smart enough to have some soccer stuff out there to sell to take advantage of World Cup?
Oh, I accumulate a tons of soccer the past 2 years. It's actually one sport that I actually open. I love opening for myself. So I graded a lot of them, have tons of prospect, and I know the guys that are going to be in the World Cup. And time is slowly, we're unloading some this week, next week, and then, time to unload though. If you have some that you've been accumulating since the beginning of the year, time to move some. And then, if you want to keep a couple of good guys, like some rookies, some Pedri that's not going to be big impactful for the World Cup, but it's good to hold because they could be in the next World Cup. Keep some of those, but the rest, like the Messi, Ronaldo, it could be their last World Cup.
Hmm.
Time to move some of them. And whoever you think is going to be good, Mbappe, England, who do you think is going to be good? Time to move some of those pieces. The Golden is starting on the 15th. Some big soccer pieces, basically.
There you go. And I know also PWCC has a separate piece for
Yep.
the Qatar section also. You can just write
Yep.
in there, click World Cup specific ones. I think everybody's gonna be focusing on that this month,
Yep.
with
It's going to be
soccer
fun.
happening. But I
Yeah.
think the important thing here is sell it, sell. If you're gonna sell now. But otherwise, I think
Yeah.
what happens is everybody's got the same idea.
Mhm.
Everybody's got the same idea. I've been holding World Cup since until the World Cup. I've been holding soccer. I'm going to sell it when the World Cup happens. Okay, well, here's your chance because in a
Yeah.
couple
I
weeks,
think it's going to be flooded a little, but you know what? If you have some nicer pieces, though, they're also probably going to be selling higher than any time. after
Definitely.
this. So time to move them. There's going to be tons of fun pieces in PWCC, and Alt has some too,
Yep.
and obviously Golden has some. There's going to be tons of nice pieces. So the only bad thing is hopefully it doesn't bump head on everyone, and hopefully some of the buyers save up some of their money for this. So
I mean, listen, to me, it's like everything else, right? You could have a great quarterback you love in the
mhm.
AFC. Check out the odds, pick your team, be
Yep,
realistic. I mean, you may love Captain America, Pulisic, and they may, surprise some folks, but I
yep,
mean, I don't think anybody really thinks they're winning the World Cup. So,
yeah,
look at the schedule, see maybe
yep.
they get out of the pool round, maybe,
Mhm.
and plan accordingly. The
That's
schedule
very
matters, what you
yeah.
plan against matters.
That's very important. You got to look at the schedule. So some of the guys that are Cinderella team that but might have an easy path, time to move those too early. So
There you
mhm.
go. Well, listen, and how about Hertz? You selling any Hertz stuff you want to bring any attention to? Everybody
I
loves when we talk about
actually,
Hertz.
so I didn't give Golden the black one of
Hmm.
one, but I did give them a red, white, and blue national treasure to run.
I saw a
Um,
pretty card, very nice looking card.
yeah. And my big sleeper that I haven't announced it on the site yet, but I also gave my Kobe logo man to run. So on the
Wow,
little, there's a LeBron and a Kobe logo man getting ran on the same auction, which is fun. So
wow. All right. Well, listen, the logo man, they're still that's the if I would call what 2022 was, it was the year of the logo man. From the LeBron triple logo man chase, I mean, I think people chase more of those. I think Golden has one running now with Jordan Bird and Magic
yeah,
Johnson,
that's
the
crazy.
triple
Yeah.
logo man. Also, I mean,
Mhm.
it's some cool stuff out
Yeah.
there. So yeah,
People are like, let's time to. It's the people that has those big cards.
mhm.
It's like, oh, maybe it's time to sell some because they know it's dropping, but not dropping that bad on those big time cards. So let's say in the 6 months, let's say the market does drop a little bit more. It's better to get it now than in 6 months probably.
I think I'm with you. I happen to think in 6 months we'll probably be in a better spot than we are now. I mean, we'll have the little
Mhm.
baseball kicking up again. There'll be basketball playoffs around the corner. LeBron will have probably just broken the Kareem record. There'll be a lot of good stuff to talk about. Football.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the fun
Jalen
part about sports. So, and I think the Celtics could be very good this year. So
Tatum. A lot of people think this is his MVP year. That would be a
this is
huge
it.
step.
Yeah.
That'd be a huge step for him. They look good, but the Bucks look good. I mean, Giannis. I mean, if they're gonna let Giannis just play football when everybody else is playing basketball and let him take 6 steps on every drive, then how do you stop that guy?
Yeah,
But
no, there's three strong guys. I think Luca is gonna make a push too. My only thing with Luca is I just don't think he has enough with
no
him.
team. Yeah, no
Yeah,
support. None.
exactly. I mean, for him to score 40 something points, triple double, just to even barely win is hard. I don't think anybody could do that. But
Andrew was very. I think he had a great take about Luca. He says Luca's
mm,
going to put up these stats, but he's not going to win. In order to win, some of the stats have to go away. Or you have to play team ball. You have to have somebody else on your team who's also
and
going to
the,
put up stats. It's not going to be
but the
40
funny
points.
the funny part though, they actually lose when he doesn't score 30.
Yeah.
They win when he scores 30
Well, he
something.
has to, right? He
He
has to.
has to right now. So that statement to me is it depends. If he has another guy that could score 20 something consistently, then he will take a step back. Because I
Yeah.
don't think he's a filler type of player. He wants to win, but he knows that this is how they could win right now until they give him some support. That's what he'll do.
Right, but
So
I don't think there's enough to win a championship. Like I
it
think you
can't.
need. I
No.
mean, Jordan was putting up big numbers before they put a team
Yep.
around them to actually win
Mhm.
championships. Then he took
Exactly.
a little step back, focus a little more on defense,
Yep.
and team ball. I mean, he always led the team in scoring, but I'm not saying Luka's gonna take a huge step back, but instead of averaging 36-point triple doubles, maybe he averages 32-point triple doubles because he has somebody else on his team, who's also
Who
averaging
is that
24.
somebody else though?
It depends, right? So I mean, it depends what you need. I mean,
Mm,
like he needs a shooter.
yeah.
Like if I were Dallas, this is it's gonna sound crazy. I'd be talking to Golden State about Clay. I'd be putting a Clay on that team because Clay seems to be kind of like out of sorts over there.
Yeah.
I mean, I would
That team is
a
very
shooter.
weird right now. Yeah.
Luka break them down, drives, kick it out to an actual shooter.
Yeah.
Once you get that shooter, that's an interesting kind of thing. I mean, it's just
How about you?
one thing I threw out there, but I mean,
Yeah. But they have to give up something for him, and I
of
don't know
course.
what they could give up. But
Well, they gave up on Jalen Brunson, and the Knicks, overpaid. And
yeah.
I mean, what is he doing? No,
Okay.
listen, this was fun. I appreciate it. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks,
Yep.
and good luck on all the stuff you have selling in all these auctions. It's all going to break
Thank
records.
you.
All going to break
Thank
records.
you.
Thanks, Sharon.
Let's see. Thank you.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So, as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, it lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is. 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com. or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.